Hey, how are you? I hope you're good. So there's this one question that I always get. Especially from like girls from my country. Like how am I so confident? Ugh, there's a dog outside. I hope you don't hear it. Anyway, so me being confident, it didn't just start like easy. I grew up in spaces where it was just like your confidence is just like being smashed, like, you know because I spent like, let's say, 11 years of my life in the ghetto, and then my mom, like, you know moved to the bougie side. So the bougie side, it was insane, like it was insane. And I remember, like, I was 14, and people there, like the men that were probably like in their 40s or 30s with families and kids when I was 14, and they just started like commenting on how I was not attractive at all. Yeah, they would actually come to my mom and say stuff like, we're so worried your child is not even attractive at all, like who's gonna marry her. Yeah, my mom was just like, she would stand up for us, but that happening like was insane. And the and then like the Zim system, because I'm from Zim, like the Zim system, when you're growing up as a child, you're constantly being compared to other kids. So yeah, I was already like going through all of that, like, and then these men will be like, this girl, do you think she's ever gonna be like this other girl? And I'm just there like, ugh. And then when I would visit my grandma back in the ghetto, life was different, because their life was more like, it's a lot of like old women with their eyes on you, especially like the church ladies, their eyes on you. You're their kid, so you can't make mistakes. And then that area had also like a lot of sex workers. Like the women would just like be like, girl, when they see me like coming from school, and they'll just constantly like tell me like, yo bro, like you're going at a very expensive school, you better like make it out of the hood, because we don't want you to end up like us. Obviously I wouldn't say this to my parents or like to my grandma, but it was things that were just like being put in my mind. um and then my grandmother, because she was like this shit, church hierarchy, she's like that top woman in the church, so we need to like move in a certain way. So I wasn't allowed to like leave the yard, because the main reason was that I was not like, my body was, I was becoming, a girl. So she was worried that I would get raped, because girls were getting raped like in that area. So she was just like, you're gonna be in the house. And sometimes when I'm like, let's say with my uncles, she would always like call me, like ask me like, what did your uncle say, what's going on. She was like worried. Yeah. And she would also like constantly like control my body to see if I'm not pregnant, or like if I'm cool or whatever. But anyway, back to the bougie side. So the girls from the bougie side, I mean, they were kids, but they would just like constantly like tell you like, you don't deserve to be here. You're not pretty enough. And then at school I was cool, because I was just that child that was kind of quiet, because I was into gaming. So most girls liked me for that. But I remember every time we'd get in class, and there were like names of people on the board, of like people according to how pretty they are, and we're 40 in my class. And I remember some of the girls, when I met them like a few years ago, they lost their confidence, like they're still like down bad. So I grew up in a space where now I just had to like hide myself. So even when I was at the bougie side, I would just still like not try to hang out with the bougie girls, because I knew what they would say to me. um and also like avoiding these old ass man telling me how unattractive I was, how, yeah, like, yo, like, why are you telling that like to a 14-year-old? Like, what the hell? Yeah, like saying stuff like, oh, your body is just not attractive at all. Like, I think that's like kind of crazy, but I don't know how I handled it because I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna go this way. Like, I would just avoid where those people were. I was just always in the house playing games or like studying. So I lost my confidence because as a child, you now start thinking like, oh, they're right. Like, so I'm not pretty enough, because they were saying it to my face. They would just like say like, you're not pretty. Like, look at that girl over there. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, like I'm not pretty. You're right. In my head though. So I didn't have confidence till when I was like 18, 19. Yeah. And then I changed the school because I was not supposed to go to like A level. And then at my A level school, everybody was finding me cool, and I didn't get it. Like at home, I'm being told something else. Like at school, I'm like the coolest child. It didn't make sense. But my grandma, one thing she'd always tell us was like, everything has to come from within. Whatever people are going to say about you has nothing to do with you. Like, you have to be very, very grounded. So I was just that kid that like I would try to like go back to those words, because she'd say stuff like, yeah, people will leave tomorrow, and then what? Like, who are you without those people? So yeah, I didn't like let the hype get on me. So I was just still trying to be myself. And then living in these spaces where when I'm at my mom's side, I'm in this bougie area and I can't fit in. And then when I'm at my grandma's side, it's poverty everywhere, like everywhere. And I still have like the visions of the sex workers from my hood, from my grandma's hood, and like them just saying like, yo, you have to get out of this place. And you know, yeah, like seeing the kids like just us playing outside with no shoes, like you could tell the poverty, but like people were happy though. Like, we're happy. That's one thing I like. We were happy, and there was like unity. Yeah, I was happy when I'm at my grandma's side. So yeah, I just grew up without confidence. And then when I was like 21, I remember it was like, why should I feel this way? Because I had bumped into one of the girls that used to bully the girls in my class, and she wasn't looking that good. And then the man from my hood, because there was this whole inflation thing that happened, they were now like super broke, so they didn't look the same. And they're like, oh, how are you? Well, you're doing so well. And I'm like, you know, make it make sense. So ever since then, I think I just realized that, okay, if I let people define who I am, then I don't have control over my own life. So I just so I remember I just woke up, I was like, you know what, fuck everything that happened in the past. I'm gonna own my life right now and like focus on just being me and just being myself. Because my cousin brother would always tell me to just like be myself and just be cool. Like, if you would ever try to tell him like, oh, someone is talking about me, he would just be like, so what? Like, that was his answer. Like, so what? If they're talking about you, so what? So I started like having that kind of mindset where I'm just like, I don't care about people, I'm just gonna be me. I was very young to even have that kind of mindset, and nobody taught me but like my cousin, and we're like the same age. And I just got into that mood of like, I knew where I was coming from. When I'm at my grandma's side, it's all poverty, and people are like, yeah, it wasn't cute at all. And I was like, I've seen both sides of life, and even when I was in the trenches, none of these people were there for me. So why should I care about what people say about me? Like, why should I care about what you say about me? You know, if it's a compliment, cool, I'll take it. But I'm not in a space where I'm just gonna like leave with people's compliments. It's a bonus. I have to be okay from within. So maybe I didn't know the right terms for that, but I just started working on myself from within. Like, I wouldn't want anything to shake me the way it did when I was a teenager. And then later on, I realized that the people that were trying to shake me were they were not shit at all. Like, they were not even that cool. It was just like, bro, guys, man, like, they can't even pay school fees for their kids, but having something to say about me when I'm a teenager, when I'm like only 14. So I'm grateful that I got to see that very early, because that gave me like a good mindset to be like, oh, I was about to lose my life because of these kind of people. And that taught me that, like, people can say whatever they want, but I have to just keep focusing on me, because everybody has their own opinions. And yeah, people will talk, bro. Like, I grew up like being defined by people that I even know, and like, because I was just a child, and I come from a country or a society where like everybody has everyone can just say anything they want about you. As long as you're a child, you gotta like keep quiet and just take it in, just absorb all of that shit. And I did absorb all of that shit, but at some point I was like, this shit don't make sense, because some people say good things, some people say bad things. So fuck all of this. I'm gonna be myself and just be whoever I am. And also, again, because I'm very like, I'm not like, I don't have like big booty. I'm like, I've always been super skinny, and that's also not attractive. It's not seen as like an attractive thing from where I'm from. So, but that gave me also space to just embrace my body. I was just like, cool, they can look at everything else while I love myself. So I'm not like, yeah, like all this hype is like, yeah, it's cool, but where it came from, it's like, it was like real trenches, like real trenches. And I don't think I'll ever give up on myself, because one thing I learned as a child, I was very young when I realized that you're defined by people that are clueless about their own lives. So why should I let them define the whole part of my life? They can't even be there tomorrow. Like, if I'm in deep shit, they can't even be there for me. So why should I care about what they're saying about me right now? You know, so anyone can say anything, and I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't. But shout out to my cousin brother, because he put me on this kind of vibe, not to care about what people say, and just be me, and just, yeah. He, like, every time I talk to him, he's always like, don't stop being like that girl that you're trying to be. Like, just keep it moving. Like, we don't give a shit about all those people. And I'm like, so yeah, my whole childhood, it was kind of crazy. I was told how much ugly I was, how unattractive I was, how dark skinned I was. Because yeah, my dad is kind of light skinned. So. But yeah, that's my story. And this is what actually made me like start like a platform in Zim about girls, like young women, and just talk about these conversations. So that's what's up. Bye.